So you may have tried meal planning before and discovered that it didn't work for you. And I've had the same experience in the past, and for me, it was one of three reasons. First, it took way too long to plan out my meals and what I was gonna make. Second, it was expensive. And third, I didn't actually end up making what I had planned. So I'm gonna address all three of those concerns today as we get started and I show you my secrets to easy meal planning. So as I mentioned, what I found took way too long for me, the way that I used to meal plan, is I would spend hours going through my favorite cookbooks or through my Pinterest boards or posts that I'd saved on Instagram trying to find recipes to make in my meal plan. And the problem is that it's too time consuming. So instead of doing that, the way that I do it now is I have a core list of meals, things that I know that my family loves and will actually eat. So here's my main master list. And so when I'm planning my meals, what I do is I just go and shop my list. But then I've got this list to go from rather than having to come up with new things all the time. And as you can see, there are quite a few things on this list. And I actually have another list too I should add to this. But that way I have this huge list to choose from. And so you're not repeating meals all the time, but you have probably 30 to 50 ideas of things that your family is going to eat and like that you can then form your grocery list from. Some of our family household favorites I've posted actually in a previous video was our easy weeknight meals video. And I'll link that up here so you guys can find it easily. And in that video, I actually have gluten and dairy-free options for all of the recipes that I posted there because my daughter has to eat that way. So we eat a lot of things like that. But other wins in our house would be like Mexican, breakfast for dinner, loaded salads, any kind of bowl, like a Greek bowl or a burrito bowl, anything like that would be a guaranteed, everyone would be happy with what I made. So I know I can put those on my recipe meal plan any week and it's going to be a hit. Meal planning can become really expensive if you either don't have a budget or you plan a bunch of things that you don't make, so the ingredients end up going to waste. So the first and most important thing when combating the expense of meal planning and keeping it budget friendly is to set a budget. Now that budget has to be realistic for you and your family. So don't worry about what anyone else's budget is or what anyone else tells you. You find a budget that's realistic for you and stick to that. Let me give you an example. So we are a family of 5. We have 3 teenagers and one of them is a boy. So we go through food pretty quick, especially cereal and milk. But we live in Tennessee, so it's a relatively inexpensive part of the country. I also make a lot of things from scratch, and we have our own chickens, so we get fresh eggs. I don't have to buy those. So you take all of those things into account, and our budget of about $175 a week is probably on the conservative side, but we're able to do that because of the things that I mentioned. So if you live on one of the coastal sides of the country, I know that your expenses for groceries are going to be a whole lot higher. And depending on your life situation, things are going to vary too. So what I would suggest is set a budget that you think is realistic for you. Try it out for a couple of weeks. If you find that you're always going over budget, then increase that budget a little bit and try it again. If you find that you're able to stay under that quite easily, maybe even you're quite a bit under that budget, then bring it down a little bit. It's a little bit of trial and error in finding out what works for you and your family. The other thing that I mentioned about how meal planning can be expensive has to do with wasting ingredients, which leads me to my next tip. If you're finding these meal planning tips helpful, would you give this video a like down below? I'm actually considering making a second video or a part 2 because I have some other ideas and I would like to know if this is something you would like to see. So something that I do that saves me time and money when I'm meal planning is I consult my calendar. So every week when I'm planning my meals, I look at my days and I say, okay, who's going to be home on which days, who has work, who has activities, who's going to be home, what are we doing? And then I plan my meals around that. So real life example, I know that every Monday, it's a busy day on Monday for me. I get a lot of things done around the house. There's always a lot of cleanup after the weekend. I'm sure you can relate to that. And it's my laundry day, just a lot of things I'm doing on Mondays. So I try to give myself a break and plan something super easy on Mondays. And then on Wednesdays, my kids go to youth activities at the church, and actually my husband does too. So I have to have something that's like grab and go, or something that I make ahead of time so people could kind of eat when they want, either before activities or after, whatever. And then on Sunday, we have church kind of later in the day. It's kind of at a weird time. So when we get home from church, everyone's ready for lunch, but it's kind of a late lunch. So as a result, then some of us want dinner and some of us want a snack later. So it's kind of fend for yourself. So look at your calendar and take inventory of what's going on in your week, and you'll know, what days you have time to actually plan and make a nice meal where you can sit around the table as a family, and the days when you need to make, like, say, a slow cooker meal or an Instant Pot meal. And that way, it's going to prevent you spending way more time planning all these meals that you don't have time to make. And it's also going to save you money because you're not going to buy all these ingredients and then not end up making those meals because you don't have time to do it. Another way to make meal planning more cost effective is to have a good inventory on hand for the meals that you make regularly. So that core meals list or that staple meals list I talked about creating, make sure that you stock up on those things, the ingredients that are in those recipes when they're on sale on a good deal, so that you always have those things on hand, rather than having to buy every single ingredient for every meal that you're planning in a week. So this is how I actually plan my meals. So the first thing that I do is I take my little notebook and my pen and I kind of walk around to my fridge, my freezer, my pantries, and I take a look at what I already have on hand, and I kind of just jot down notes. Now, I don't write everything that's in those spaces, but I kind of write down the main things that I would use to make meals out of. Next, I check my local grocery store flyer. I like to shop at Kroger, and I take a look at what's on sale, and then I determine what can I buy that's on sale in conjunction with the items that I already have on hand to create meals that are in my staple meal list. Now, this may sound like it's time consuming, but it actually doesn't take very long, especially once you get used to kind of doing it. It's like a routine, right? The more you do it, the easier it gets. So let me show you I've already done my meal planning for this week, but let me show you what it looks like in action. Okay, so I have all of my meals listed out here for the week, and then I have my grocery list. So as I'm planning my meals, I'm writing out the things that I need based off of the meals that I've planned, and I've already looked at my inventory to plan my meals around those. So Saturday, we're having this pesto pasta with shrimp and roasted peppers, and I'm gonna get some spaghetti squash and use that for those of us that like it, and some green beans. So I know that I already have pesto to use, I have pasta, I have shrimp, I have the red peppers, I have the green beans. So the only thing that I need to buy there is spaghetti squash. So I have that on my list right here. Well, thanks for watching. I really hope that this transforms your meal planning system so that it's something that's doable for you and your family, and it just makes your life simpler and easier. That is my whole goal with this channel, is to help you. So I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you see my next video, and on your way out, check out that easy weeknight meal ideas video. I think you're really gonna like it. And I also have a white chicken chili recipe that is to die for, so check that out too. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.